Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. If you're here, you're probably thinking about moving abroad, perhaps to Costa Rica, perhaps it's somewhere else here in Central America. But I hope that in this channel, you'll definitely find lots of information that'll help you on that journey. And one thing that I love to do is bring in guest speakers to, well, provide their expertise. I have a lot of videos of me blabbing on the channel, which I hope are valuable for others. But I think it's always very valuable for people to get others' perspectives, hear their knowledge, and speak to other professionals. And so I have Anna here today. She is a professional. She is a real estate consultant. So I will have her explain the difference, kind of the difference between a real estate agent and a real estate consultant, because I really love this. I mean, I'm a consultant in a way. Our company consults, kind of like a third party coming in and being like, hold on, let's see. So I feel like she's kind of does the same kind of things. And I thought today we would also cover just life in the Central Valley. So Anna works in other areas of the country, but she lives in the Central Valley. A lot of the people that she serves is in the Central Valley. So I notice whenever I'm working with people, some people get a little bit confused by all the different towns and what can you find in each area. Like when I design a scouting trip to the Central Valley, it's always a little bit more complicated than just people going to the coast. Because the coast is kind of, there's only so many roads. There's only, the towns are much smaller. When you get into the Central Valley, that's when it can get, I think, a little bit more confusing for people. So I'd love to just hear your perspective and maybe even using your own demographics and people that come down and what are they looking for and what are they finding? What kind of lifestyle are they accomplishing and where in the Central Valley? But first, enough about me. Anna, I would love for you to tell everyone a bit about yourself, kind of, and about what you do. I'd love for people to know exactly, what you do as a real estate consultant.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Sarilena. It's lovely to be here. Well, I really love what I do because I feel like I have the ability to give the client a bigger perspective. So what we do is we work with clients who are considering moving to Costa Rica and have never been here or maybe just came once for a vacation. So their context is quite small. And then they are trying to figure out, what areas and what that looks like. And so what we do is first we get to know our clients, hopefully a couple hours, a couple long conversations, understand their lifestyle, their needs. They have kids, when you have kids, the school is going to be sort of the priority, and then we kind of work around that. But basically, when we finally defined one area or a couple of areas that they are interested in after we have talked, gotten to know each other, and I share my thoughts on the area, then we prepare to go on a tour and look at it. Now in the Central Valley, because everything is close, I usually do a tour that includes Central Valley Mountains, which is Atenas, Grecia, sometimes San Ramon, if that's what the client is interested in. And then in the afternoon, we do Escazú and Santa Ana, because that's kind of the Central Valley where, that's the area that has developed, let's say, the suburb from town. Yeah, San Jose downtown is more like business, corporate, and lots of traffic. So nobody lives there. So this is where the city has grown towards. And so, yeah, so what we do is we just concentrate on visiting those areas. And then when they realize, okay, this is kind of where I really would like to stay. If it's somebody that has never been here before, we usually recommend renting. But we take advantage on that tour day to also show them some property that they could eventually purchase, just because it will give them perspective. $500,000 is going to get you this in Grecia, this in Atenas, and this in Escazú or Santa Ana, right? It's like just a perspective of what the difference is. I also think that a good thing about being a real estate consultant is that I work with all the realtors and all the offer that is that could match my client's needs. So I'm not limited. Sometimes people come down and they just reach out to a realtor, and the realtor will try to, as I respect, sell them one of their properties. But realtors have a limited amount of listings. So what I like is to be able to have, first of all, like, look at what there is. And sometimes there are not very good deals in there, or what we would consider not a very good purchase, something that will be difficult to exit. And so I don't even add it on the list. But basically, I put together a property list. I send it over to the client. They look at it, give us some feedback. And then on the day of the tour, we go and visit some of these properties. Perspective, right? So we're doing everything at the same time. I'm driving, I'm in the car with them, just sharing a little bit about each area, also showing them the traffic and what the reality of this area is. And so, yeah, I think by the end of the day, I would feel very good if they understand the difference in budget, like what that budget can do in different communities, how the community flows, how the traffic felt, and just how they felt when we got out, down out of the car and walked around at the park, in each one of these towns. So yeah, I love being able to have that, being a little bit higher, having a more general look or reach of the real estate market. So that's what I do. I live in Escazú, and the reason why I live here is because I have an 18-year-old daughter, and she used to go to a school. She just graduated from high school, but her school was very close to here. And so that's when families that have kids and they want to have a bigger variety of schools to choose from, or I have clients that tell me music music lessons are very important. In an area like Escazú and Santana, you will have access to many different music classes or art, or it's just like it. But if you go to Atenas with small kids, you're only going to have maybe a couple of schools to choose from and a couple of music or art institutes. So it's just having that clarity on what their needs are and what they value. But yeah, Central Valley, I think, is amazing also for people who need medical attention, who are maybe sometimes I get clients, one of them has chronic illness. And so they would feel better to be closer to, the hospitals, private and public, just being close to the city for any emergency. And so the good thing is, Santana and Escazú offer properties in the hills that are a little bit cooler, and then something, closer to everything, which is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be warmer, but yes, it's not as breezy as the mountain. And really the range of budgets is huge. So it's good.
Totally. Where would you say that you're seeing the most people move to, you personally?
Well, in my case, Grecia and Atenas. So Atenas is beautiful. It used to be a community for retirees mostly. But the thing about Atenas is that the community is really established, like the expat community is really established there. And so, for example, I was there with a client last week. She's a widow and she's still young, but do you know what I mean? Like she just wants a community. And she really loved Atenas. Just how warm the people were. We sat down to have lunch, and you know, everybody she could feel excuse me, she could feel very quickly that this was a community where they kind of hug each other, and they were like, yeah, I'll introduce you to people. The restaurant owner was just so sweet. And so that's what Atenas is. It's just that Atenas got a little expensive. Uh, and so there's also a limited offer. They haven't, I think just now recently after COVID, they started building some new stuff. But like Roca Verde has been there forever, and it's beautiful and it has amazing views. But this is a gated community where the homes are, quite expensive. So it's great because it's a little town that you can walk, from your home to the town, and everybody, and it's just got that small town feeling. But then you go to Grecia, and Grecia is greener than Atenas. Like Atenas is supposed to have the ideal climate. That's why people started coming here. But it can get a little toasty in the summer, at the height of the summer, like right now, it's actually, quite dry. You go right, the community right beside it, Grecia, there's a shortcut and it takes 10 to 15 minutes to get there. And it's greener and it's dynamic. It's more younger. This is an area where they are developing free zone projects big time. And so there's a lot of younger people moving to Grecia. And there are gated communities and residentials that are growing and developing. And they also have quite, because of that, because of the younger crowds, and because it's, I think, a bigger town than Atenas, there are quite a few schools. I think the infrastructure is very, very good. And again, in Grecia, you can live closer to town, or you can also go up in the mountains and have a very different experience, right? Amazing views, breeze, cooler. So this is good. It's just that the roads in Grecia tend to be narrow and kind of windy, but yeah, this is a great option. So a lot of my clients want to be in the Central Valley, who have kids, tend to stay in Grecia.
I love this. This is really helpful, by the way, like you explaining the difference between the different towns. So this is amazing.
Thank you.
I know the last time we chatted, you talked a little bit about San Ramon. So some people,
Mhm.
it's not totally on their radar. Other people have been curious because when you look at San Ramon, you're like, oh, that's bigger than Grecia. What's over here? How would you
Yeah.
say, because it's kind of like a little triangle. How would you say that San Ramon differs between Atenas and Grecia? And do you feel people move over there as well?
Yeah, I feel like San Ramon is a completely different vicinity. It's a little bit farther away from Grecia. Let's say it's Atenas, Grecia, and then San Ramon. Cool thing about San Ramon is that it's that town or that city where people usually take the road to go to Arenal. So it's very dynamic. There's a lot of movement. And even though it's much bigger, it also kind of keeps that small town feel. I love the little park. I love the church. It's just one of those places that, I don't know, has a special uniqueness about it. I love it. And the infrastructure is insane. So you have everything there. I have lots of clients who are loving properties around San Ramon. And almost like, so I have a client that bought a house on the way down so in Cambronero, on the way to Punta Arenas. So keep, as you go towards the beach, and the views, I mean, I was shocked when I got there. The house was kind of an older house and they're redoing a lot of it, but the views and just the location was very eye-opening to me, Sarah, because it's 20 minutes away from Esparza, which is a town very close to Punta Arenas, the beach, and it's 20 minutes away from San Ramon. So I'm like, wow, all the roads are paved, super green. You're in the mountains, you get the breeze, and the views are just insane. And they got this, like a beautiful house that was like I think it's a 3 bedroom, and they also have a casita. I mean, it's a huge property, and I think it was 285,
Wow.
and so they're like, wow, I can see myself here. Okay, we're gonna build a pool and a deck and like make everything look nicer. We can do that. So my first reaction was like, wait, guys, like this is not gonna be an easy exit, like investment wise. And they're like, no, but we love it. Like we're moving here. So I think that when you're dealing with relocation clients, which is what I mostly do, you also have to think about, yeah, okay, we want to be able to give you all the analysis on what makes a good investment, a good purchase, but also we want to make sure that it's a place that you love and that you really connect to. And it's where you're going to live. And if you want to rent it, yes, you can rent it sometime when you're not here, but that's not going to be your priority. It's like, okay, so if I get a, you know, 10% less occupation than San Ramon downtown, I don't mind. You know what I mean? It's about really listening to the client and figuring out what they like. Um, I'm just very excited about this whole area. I think there's a lot of beautiful properties that now expats are finding in the mountains and are really coming up. I don't think expats love to be in San Ramon downtown because it's kind of busy, but they love to be in the surroundings for sure.
Yeah, when I'm working with a lot of people, a lot of them are, okay, I want to be near amenities and near things that I need, but then I want to be outside. I don't want to be right in the action. So that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. I would say
Yeah.
I'm have more demographics move to Atenas, Grecia, and those areas versus Escazú, Santa Ana. I get people in Santa Ana and Escazú, Ciudad Colón, Guasima. So it's kind of like you're just
Yeah.
outside San Jose. My deal breaker there would be the traffic. Like that would be my deal breaker.
Exactly. So a lot of my most of my clients who stay in this area choose Guasima because you can live in an area that still feels like a farm. You know, very green, horses all around you, and having sort of that feeling. There are schools in the vicinity now in Guasima, private schools that you know, you can walk your kids to every morning, and it's not going to make you feel like you have to go into all this crazy traffic for your everyday life. Now, if you want to come into Santa Ana or Escazú, yes, it's going to be traffic, and you have to be strategic about it. So, you know, find the right times, figure out what works, and choose your battles, right? Like my client, I have a client who's living in Hacienda Espinal in Guasima. Her kids are going to country day school. I just met with her for lunch yesterday, and she said, okay, I need you to meet me at 11:30 because I got to be out of there by 1 because I want to get back before the traffic gets crazy. And she does bring her kids to Escazú to some classes, or like, you know, they do like get together with parents and do fun stuff on Saturdays. They come this way. But, you know, they have really understood that, you know, you just kind of have to do it. You have to figure out the way to survive it, for sure.
Oh, totally. I mean, I go to San Jose, you know, for podcast stuff, and I'll either spend the night before, or I'll leave at 4 a.m. I'll leave at 4 a.m. and sit in a cafe for hours versus sitting in that traffic. Like I
Yes,
will happily sit in a cafe, but
absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
let's say in San Jose, my favorite area is Barrio Escalante. Whenever I go to San Jose, it's there.
Mhm.
Roar Moser or La Sabana. Where would you say if someone's like, I want to be in downtown San Jose, where are you seeing the most popular area?
I think Romoser La Sabana is very exciting. I think what I love about this area is that there are many apartments available. Um, you can get older homes with a garden. Like I get a lot of people, Sara Elena, that want something rustic, colonial. I'm like, oh, we have a lot of that there. Because lately, you know, in the last 2 years, all my clients wanted modern contemporary. And I'm like, guys, that's, yes, there is a lot of that, but it's going to be a little bit more expensive because it's newer. So I think Bromoser just offers a great opportunity to find many different properties that are interesting. I love the fact that there are so many parks in between these towers and apartment buildings and homes, that really make it just a very cool place to live in. You know, lots of little restaurants and bars and cafes all around. And you are super close to downtown San Jose, right by the pista that takes you to the airport, and right by the pista that takes you to the beach or to Escazú Santana. I just think it's a wonderful location, and you can go from super luxury to super basic in a moment. So I really love it. I love Bromoser. That's probably the most exciting area for me. And even though, yes, there is traffic, I feel like it's a little bit easier to move in and out of than if you're like in the middle of like where I live. I live in Huachipilín, Escazú, and I'm in the middle of it. It's insane. Um, Santa Ana, depending on the area where you are in Santa Ana, I think it can be very beautiful, very green, very, you know, a little bit remote. And again, you just pick your battles. But yeah, I think Romo said, if you ask me the winner, Romo said.
I love that. And I always say, like, you never know what's behind the wall. So sometimes you'll see these houses, like Rohrmoser is has those residential areas, and you have your houses. And then like sometimes behind the wall is this amazing home with these gardens, and it's open and the weather's super nice. So you have like these gardens or like outdoor patios within the home. Like it can, like
Yeah,
some of the homes are really just incredible. Like you never know what's on the other side of that wall. Like just so people
exactly.
don't think like, oh, I don't want to live in a wall. It's like, no, but on the other side, it can be so beautiful. I've seen homes with just fantastic gardens and it looks so
Fantastic.
relaxing
Yeah.
in the quiet
And
area.
and you know what I love about the older homes is that you get this huge space. You know, every area, like the rooms are big, you know, you have a really nice, so it's a full house.
Mm.
You know, the newer construction to me is like okay, so where's the linen closet? Like, where am I gonna put stuff, right? You just, there's a lot of it that's not there. So I always tell clients, like, don't be afraid of getting into an older home and just remodel. For me, bathrooms and kitchen, and then just kind of do a little TLC to the house. It's going to be amazing, and it is not that hard. It is not that expensive, depending on the finishes, of course, but you can do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of my favorite areas. I like, for my clients to stay in the Ramos area, because that'll give me the chance also to drive with them and kind of show them, okay, so this is Escazú now, and this is where the hospital, the mall, whatever, this is how far it is. And now let's go check out Escazú and Santa Ana. And it takes forever also, Sarah, to go into all the little neighborhoods in Escazú and Santa Ana, because there's quite a few. So what I try to do is be very intentional about preparing for my client's tour. I really go and say, okay, let's just concentrate on this area and this area today. And we just drive, and we go in, and what I like to do is just really be very present and answer questions as much as I possibly can for them.
My dogs are causing an issue. Just take you with. Oh, I got these guys here trying to do the garden and they're just barking at them. Come on, get in the house, you two. Hola. Back. Okay, get in the house. Be rude. They'll ever see strange people. They're like, oh, these people.
You live in Jaco, right?
I live in, yes, very close. I do. Okay, now they're all in the rooms with me. Okay. So I've had the least amount of people, let's say, move to Heredia and Cartago. So I lived in Heredia when I was pregnant and I was going to give birth. So I just moved up to San Jose to live there for a bit. I lived in Los Lagos, so kind of near Paseo de los Flores Mall. Why, maybe in your opinion, I mean, I kind of have my own opinion. I kind of steer away. I really, other than Cariari, which is technically Heredia, or Belen, I really don't have people move into, I have one person in San Isidro de Heredia, but I don't have a lot of people in Heredia. I have some people that are getting more interested in Cartago, like the Orosi Valley. That's something that's been coming up a little bit more. I just designed a trip for people to go check out Paraíso and Cachi and, just kind of those areas around Cartago. What's your opinion on those areas? Because I know some people are like, well, what about over here? For most of my people, they'll say like, oh, it's too far from the beach. Like we still want to be able to get to the beach, or it's too far from the airport, or just you're curious of your opinion.
Okay, so I have one word for it: traffic. Heredia there's just too many people living there, and the road infrastructure is very poor compared to the amount of cars that come in and out of Heredia. I can't even say it. I mean, I used to work in Heredia and have to drive there every day, Sara Elena, and I'm telling you, it was one of the most painful things. And I considered quitting my job many, many times just because of the traffic. Like the quality of my life was not good. So I don't even mention it to my clients unless they see, oh, we found this property, we really love it. I have some clients that sometimes tell me like, we really love the mountains of Heredia, like El Castillo, I'm like, it's beautiful, but let's be honest about this, right? Like this is the situation, this is how much, you need to drive to get in and out. It's considerable. So I just want you to know, and then as we start driving towards it, they're like, yeah, we can turn around. We don't even want to, when they see the traffic. Same thing with Cartago. I think Cartago will get better as they're working on the highway. I love Cartago. I love Cartago. The feeling, the greenness. I mean, the mountains of Cartago, especially like going on the way to Volcán Irazu. The views, the properties are beautiful. But yeah, the traffic to get there in and out is not a good thing right now. Maybe if you're a retiree and you're not doing much and you just want to live in a very peaceful place, yeah, we can find you a beautiful location, a beautiful property in that location, but it's not what I usually get.
Yeah, I remember the traffic was terrible, like really, really. I remember living there. Back in the day when I lived there, I was taking the bus, but yeah, I remember sitting on the bus in traffic or calling an Uber and or just walking at that point. The rush hour was real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say like the climate's nice. You know, the climate, I remember it being really windy, like really cool at times. You know, Cartago's got a
Yeah.
really good climate, but so does Grecia and San Ramon then, but minus all
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
the
it's the thing is, you know, you have the lower areas that are closer to the town, and then you go up and there's hills and beautiful, breezy. Like my brother and my sister live in San Isidro de Heredia, and they live in this beautiful property overlooking the city. But growing up, their kids, like my mom and dad's house in let's say close to Guadalupe, that was the operation center. Like the kids would come from the school, they would come to my mom and dad's, go to karate, ballet, whatever, and then they would go up the mountain at 7 p.m. So I don't know. That's just not the right way to live, I think. You know, like they got through it, they love it, and then on the weekends they don't want to leave because they drive so much every day to go to work, right? So we go there and we visit and we kind of have a breather. But it's yeah, traffic is insane.
yeah. Okay, well, we'll discount those areas then. Yeah, I mean, I don't design many areas, you know, but yeah, better for someone who's outside or like there's Santa Barbara de Heredia or you know that
Yeah,
area, just more like further out. But then I'm like, all right, think about if you need to go do things, do you want
yeah.
to be? Yeah, I was thinking about
Yeah,
moving.
and you can do the basic stuff around each one of those communities. It's having to go to work, or if the kids have, I don't know, classes that you need to drive to, that's where your life starts to go. You know, if you can just stay within the vicinity. And that's why Escazú is such a good place to live if you have kids. Because, okay, yes, you're in the middle of traffic, but you're close to everything. And
Mhm.
so, like, if you have to drive your kids at night to go to a party, or, you know, I'm 5 minutes away from everything, Sarah Elena. So I appreciate that. I know I'm in the middle of traffic, but I also think, wow, this has been amazing to live in this location with my daughter as a teenager and in high school, you know?
I love that. Well, I appreciate you sharing. This has been a lot of amazing information. I know
Thank you.
I want to be respectful of your time and I, you know, appreciate you really kind of explaining the differences between some of these towns. And I know that this is going to be incredibly helpful for others. And yeah, I just thank you for your expertise. And for those that are watching, if you want to get in touch with Anna, you know, you can shoot me an email. My email's down in the description. I'll connect you guys and she can assist you with like, you know, as the real estate consulting role that she had mentioned before. And I think she's very knowledgeable about the area. You also told me you're very passionate about some areas like Guanacaste, about Ojochal. So I know that
Yes.
this does not just encompass only the Central Valley, but you know,
Yeah.
if Anna's personality clicks with you and she's someone that you would like to spend time with, then just let me know and I'll get you guys connected. And I really do appreciate you sharing and I value your time and thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah Elena. It's been a pleasure. Always here to help. Thank you.
All right. All right. If you guys need more information about moving, you can check out the rest of the channel as usual, and I'll see you guys in the next video.